Welcome to the PharmaSource podcast. I'm delighted to be joined on the podcast today by Ingrid Lux, who is Lead Quality Disposition in Oncology and Small Molecule External Supply Europe at Takeda, and prior to that, many years at Sandoz. Ingrid has extensive experience in pharma quality, working closely and collaborating with various different functions such as supply chain, manufacturing, finance, and has a track record in solving complex challenges in external manufacturing. Ingrid, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
So to start with then, could you tell us about your journey and your experience in pharma quality, please? What drew you to quality in the first place?
Well, my decision was to join pharmaceuticals. It was my decision, and I chose pharmaceutical industry, and the quality chose me. I was always interested to understand how the medicines are working. And when the time came and I was looking for how I could join the manufacturing and medicine providing environment, it was quality, which was the opportunity, which was given to me to understand how medicine is working and how it can be improved even further.
I think you spent about 16 years or so at Sandoz before you moved.
Yes.
Yes.
It's quite a while, yeah.
How has your perspective on quality oversight evolved over that period of time, and particularly thinking about working with external manufacturing partners?
Looking back now, I understand that I joined pharmaceutical industry exactly at a period of transition. The companies I joined were small companies, but complete companies. Each and every of them had everything: development, manufacturing, marketing, registration, all at one site in one hand. And at the time I was joining, it was the period of consolidation. Big players bought the smaller players, and this was the environment I was entering in. And this was also the opportunity. There was a new path opening, and this path was called releasing products from outside the own the own company which were selling them. It was a step of consolidation, and it was a new way of working, retrospectively seen. You took as quality, and later on as a qualified person, you took responsibility for products which weren't manufactured at the site you were directly overseeing. So it was the period when quality systems evolved over the borders of the own organization, which implied a lot of coordination and cooperation with different organizational and cultural cultures, or people cultures.
Taking your current role, say, how many different CMOs, CDMOs would you tend to work with? And I suppose with that, how many different cultures?
I don't have a figure at my fingertips, but I can tell you, you can take as much cultures as you can meet people. Each and every has its specific and challenge and chances. And the big chance is to combine the chances and to leverage the challenges of one situation with the chances of another one.
Could you give me an example of that, please? How you would go about doing that, pairing a challenge with a chance?
Yeah, how shall we call it? Well, the reason why this development in the world took place was definitely because offshoring was so much cheaper than manufacturing everything at each individual site. So the big chance or strength of the offshore companies was the price. The challenge was to bring the product to the countries where were supposed to be sold in exactly the due time. products were placed at the border waiting for the patent day to expire and to enable them to enter into the country. So this is a very simple equation: cheap manufacturing and challenging logistic with rewarding market.
So it'd be great to understand a bit more, I think, about how you would solve problems like that. So how could you how would you step into a difficult situation and try and resolve like a complex quality challenge that you're describing?
Exactly. So while the products were brought in from far away, the quality standards were or still are the local one, the European one, the US one, GMP, ICH. So all the standards were to be fulfilled and all validation steps covered. All of that is part of the quality management system. And I will give you, because I was explaining the situation with a product waiting at the border, it had to be released at the very moment it was able to enter the border, which also implied retesting according to validated methods. So none of the complexities of our current so-called Western world were diminished only by the fact that we were bringing products from far abroad. So all the rules had to be maintained, including the validation of the product. And the supply chain took its time with each and every step, leaving for the analytics and release only a few days, a couple of days. So I went down to the lab. I spoke to each and every individual how we would be able to perform the analytics in a record time. And we did it within 3 days. The analytics has happened, or even we had situation when it even had to be faster just to enable the transition of the border at the patent time. As you know, in generics environment, the competition is very tough. And this is how quality served the patient and ultimately the business by proactive organizing the activities and supporting each and every step ahead to enable this.
3 days is very rapid, isn't it?
It's extraordinary.
Yes. Wouldn't want to do that every day, I suppose.
No, that would really be a challenge, and nobody can live like this. You could only achieve projects when the extra mile is coming. Everybody's motivated to do that, but you couldn't do it unlimitedly.
It'd be good to talk about how it works internally within a big pharma context. Different departments often have their own cultures, their own processes, terminology. What advice would you have to share for those on the quality side, perhaps, who are trying to collaborate with, embed a culture of quality across all the different functions? Firstly, what's been your experience of working with those types of silos?
Yeah, when I entered this environment, I was struck by the silo thinking and also considering quality as a roadblock in the end, somehow like an enemy. You need to hide everything from quality and trick them in the end to release the product to the market. This completely changed. And I feel pride myself to be part of the transformation journey we have undergone, all functions in global pharmaceutical companies. Each of our functions living in our silos do have our strength. And in each of our silo, we breed our strength. For quality, it is there are KPIs like deviation, change controls, quality agreements, but these tools which need to be sharpened and perfectioned within the silo cannot only stay there. They need to serve all the other departments, ending up with a mentality throughout development, planning and manufacturing that are pulled into the same direction. Yes, we want to have the same goal, a good, solid, and robust product. And to achieve that, we are fulfilling the needs of GMP, of good manufacturing practice, which means a deviation is mentioned and informed about. And change controls are monitored because that gives the robustness of the process, the robustness of the product in the market.
Mm-hmm.
We need to ensure at any time safety and efficacy of our medicines, and this is how it can be achieved and maintained.
How do you go about identifying those sorts of problems where an internal silo is causing problems in the overall quality process? How do you spot that and fix it?
By pushing a button. Evidently not. It's a long and intertwined process. First of all, or very often, something happens. Something happens, and you need to fix it. And in unfortunate situations, something wrong happens, like, for instance, mixed up tablets in packages are getting back from the market. That is really a no-go. So if anything wrong happens and you fix it and you prepare everything to avoid reoccurrence of that issue, then you need to bundle all the forces. And there is a conviction, everybody is convinced that you need to go this way. You need to identify the root cause and fix it and prevent it. This is how you spread the quality mentality throughout the chain. And this ends up then with extraordinary successes. Another success we had in the previous company I was, we had the intent to launch a product to the market, but we didn't even have the packaging line at that moment in time. So within 3 months, we had the packaging line factory assessed, delivered, validated, qualified, and the product validated. Within 3 months, we were able to release the product to the market. This was extraordinary, and it wouldn't have been possible if the different functions weren't aware one of each other and supporting the needs of the other one.
How do you go about doing that, bringing along all these different departments together on a time-based project like that? Do you have any tips or?
Well, at the time when that marvel happened, all the work was already done. The teams grew together. If I were to distill my experience and the success, the secret of success, it was joint problem solving. These teams had solved problems before all together with the mentality we want to really understand what has happened in order to have a sound future process. But I can't tell you how often you need to have solved problems, maybe like 3 to 7 times.
Seven times what? 7 times a week?
7 big problems. Solve 7 big problems together, and then the silos are going to melt.
Very interesting. One of the things which, in theory, shared access to data, digital integration, in theory, should help to do some of this, whether it's transparent data internally, data which is transparent with your external partners. That should, in theory, help for teams to collaborate, spot problems early. What's your experience been like with digital integration of quality systems? Are there any common challenges along the way?
Yeah, yeah. So in the beginning, the big challenge was to get the data, which previously was on paper, to transfer it into the systems
Mm.
in a smart and wise way. This was an initial step, which was a boring one, I have to admit that. But as
Why boring?
yeah, you need to enter everything you have on paper, you have to put in the
Mm.
system. But then the paper had the advantage that it already had the system behind, and the digitalization reproduced the working system.
Okay.
Now the new challenges were everybody has his own system. And to bring these systems together and make them cooperate meant working on interfaces.
Hmm.
Everyone had very nice local solutions which need to be married together in order to understand each other. Prior to that, we weren't even able to understand each other. Now, meanwhile, we have these systems again working, but now improvements are coming up. Each and every system we have, for instance, in quality, um, would be improved. However, these systems we have in quality are linked either to regulatory, who also works with a huge amount of data,
Mm.
or with finance or the ERPs. And as soon as you start an improvement or even of a globalization of a system, the interfaces are essential to be considered. If that doesn't happen, you lose connectivity and you don't even know why. So the data is no longer sound and you wouldn't understand at which step you lost it.
Hmm.
This is the reason why the new challenge in digitalization is interface. And speaking about digitalization, what I am perceiving now in pharmaceutical world is we stepped over. We are no longer in the IT project phase. We are in the pure digitalization phase. We need to transition the processes and the understanding into digitalization and cooperate with artificial intelligence and understand where this artificial intelligence can help
Mm.
our own stupidity and where it is lying to us. This is the new current challenge.
Okay.
And then there is another one, a between function challenge. Who is owning which data? This also
Mm.
is the current situation reply, because you are expecting that what is coming out of the system is holy and safe and sound. The reality is, it is only as sound and safe as the data entered were.
Mm.
And for that, specialists and product and process owners need to maintain or to cooperate with IT in order to maintain the correct status of information. This is
Mm.
the current status of digitalization, and I'm thrilled to see where we are on our journey, but even more thrilled to see where it takes us.
Yeah. You talked about understanding your stupidity and also where the data is lying. How do you go about doing that? Because particularly when you're working with external partners, say, you might have lots of different data sources coming in from different data systems. How do you apply that quality check to the data itself?
Now I'm giving you an information which is not my own wisdom.
Mm.
It is what I have learned interacting with AI experts. If you are an expert in your domain, you can understand the consistency of data you are receiving.
Hmm.
So you might not be able to read out the detail, But if the conclusion does not fit in the big picture, you will go and start and go down the thread to understand where this inconsistency comes from. So the human expertise is still essential
Mm.
to understand how AI is working and how it can
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
And the other side, the flip side of the coin is what information did you provide to AI? What did you ask?
Mm.
Then you can leverage the way you ask the question with the outcome and compare the consistency.
You've spoken about creating a common room or a safe space when working with CDMOs. Could you explain that concept, please?
Yeah, so the idea is to get the information in the real time.
Mm.
And for that, you would go and see what systems you have at hand, what system your CMO is using, and find a joint, so called safe space, which
Mm.
serves both sides. The CMO would enter, or the CDMO would enter the figures in real life, and they would be transposed in real life in the interface you can see and read. However, this interface needs to protect both sides
Mhm.
of having information which wasn't authorized, either by the one side that you can read it, and this you would solve by releasing data before they are moved ahead. And the receiving side would like to protect herself in allowing the providing side to see too much of
Mhm.
the own information, the own data you have.
Yeah. Looking at commercial manufacturing today, what would you see as the biggest quality challenges that you come up against when you're working with external partners?
With external partners, it's the same as in the beginning. It's the language, the culture, the organization. You need to get in contact with people to create the same understanding. And
Mm.
I have even to add that it's not a coincidence that it is the same as it was 20 years ago. Um, Things are changing in the environment. People are changing. Challenges are changing. Geopolitical situation is changing. Demands are changing. Therefore, you need to reassure yourself and your partner continuously on where you stay, especially
Mm.
if regulations or technical developments have changed. And this is, yes, indeed, by communication, conversation, informal conversation, but in the same time, um, consolidated information in documents like quality agreements or change control
Mm.
systems.
Are there any particular geopolitical issues at the moment which are more challenging than others?
Oh, let me think about it. What is currently our challenging situation is how do we move products best, by flight or by sea?
Okay.
What is serving the purposes and the conditions best? And yes, you can tie this into the geopolitical situation. It's also a question of how much inventory you maintain compared to what you are shipping just in time.
Mhm.
And here, the release is also an important factor. If you can rely on your quality releases, you would lower the inventory. But in the same time, you need to have a sound control on the entire logistic lane. And
Thank you.
this is the new challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. And something which you've spoken about quite a bit in this interview about speed and, rapid market release, moving fast. Are there any steps you'd recommend people take when they're trying to work in that fast-paced environment? If you were to sort of give people a step by step for how you do that, how would you advise people to move
Mhm.
quickly while maintaining quality?
I do not recall that I would have spoken about speed, but I recall that I have spoken about just in time, which is not the same.
Okay, 3 days, for example.
Yes,
To
it's
release a product.
fast,
Yes.
but it's a clear definition, and this is the
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
Speed would mean rush,
Mm,
but a clear definition of a time, of clear agreements, and the rhythmicity, taking into account the rhythmicity of the different processes. This ensures a reliability, which might be perceived as speed because it was finished right in time, just in
mm.
time. This is ensuring the success, but it's not speed alone. And the rhythmicity is, in the same time, the pulse of the business, the pulse of production, the pulse of understanding and promoting the new understanding. I
Okay.
would like to compare it with dancing.
Mm.
Most of the time, you are moving and you need to maintain the rhythm. And at a certain moment, the music gets more intense, and you are prepared to do the most speedful and impressive movements because you were prepared.
What kind of dancing would you say is the closest to pharma manufacturing?
I am biased. I'm dancing Tango Argentina, and I can find parallels everywhere.
Not break dancing, I suppose.
No.
No. You're getting involved earlier in the development stage of new products. How does early involvement of quality improve the outcomes?
It is the common understanding I just mentioned, which brings benefits to both sides.
Hmm.
So you communicate the quality needs, which means in the same time understanding of what is happening in the development moment. You do not understand everything. You still might have to ask a lot of questions, and these questions need to be in a structured way and need to receive a structured answer. But demanding to have this question, to have these answers until you progress to the next step, is one of the secrets of maintaining quality throughout the process. And then
Hmm.
what is also essential is to transmit the relevant information from the development to the manufacturing and to the commercial part of the business. You need to provide the information which of the components are the essential ones for the quality and safety and efficacy of the products.
Mhm. As a final question for you, Ingrid, what advice would you give to quality professionals who are facing similar types of challenges for those who are managing quality across an external manufacturing network?
Mhm. Well, to everybody who is working with quality, we have a lot of rules and systems which are important to be followed.
Mhm.
But please do not get mad with them. Do not take them by the letter. Understand what's behind it. And even if the letter is essential in that context, understand why it is essential. This
Mm.
is a secret of a sustainable success. It also creates an easier basis for communication because if you get mad, it means you get stuck on a certain idea, and this won't promote anything, neither compliance nor product nor effectiveness. So if don't get mad, it means you have an understanding easiness of the importance of the issue. i
Mm, mm.
I hope I could make myself clear. I don't want to say don't take it seriously, because you have to take it serious, but don't get mad at it.
Absolutely. I mean, it is really important, isn't it, when you're trying to influence other stakeholders to make sure that they enjoy working with you.
Indeed. Yeah.
And maybe if you are getting mad, perhaps maybe start doing some Argentinian dancing, perhaps.
If you get mad in Argentina, it's no longer dancing. It's like Toro fight.
Okay. Great. Well, Ingrid, I didn't think we'd end there, but thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you. The pleasure was mine, Luke.